good.
So we're live on everything but LinkedIn. So that's going to, obviously we have a lot of people logging in from LinkedIn and we have a lot of people logging in from Facebook. So today we might just have Facebook, but it says we are now live. So there you go. See, we said no glitches. Now we have glitches. Yeah. So let's just give it a minute before we go back to your story. Here we go. There's Rachel. Rachel says, I'm late. I said, it's okay, Rachel. We're late too. Because we thought we were live, and then I got an error message saying that we weren't live. And so I changed it, and I disconnected us from LinkedIn because that's where the error message was. And so we're streaming everywhere but LinkedIn. So I don't know if you can see it or not, but Rachel says, hey, Karyn Henson. There, I'll put it up there.
Hi, hey, Rachel.
So let's give it just a second, because obviously Mike is in. So tech difficulties in Eagle, bit late. There you go. Well, so us too. So technically you're not late. You're just on time. Or we can make you feel guilty for being late, Mike. Either one.
We have to be kind to my tech department.
Yeah. And I know Chris Hennessy always logs into my lives, even if he only comes in for like 5 minutes. I see him logging in, and I appreciate his support. He's probably wondering what happened because we're not going live on LinkedIn, but it's okay. It's okay. Facebook is fine. Hi, Faith. So Faith here, Rachel here, Mike here. All right, Miss Karyn, we're going to continue. Jan Higgins is here. Hi, Tanya and
everyone.
Karyn. So awesome. But this will record and on LinkedIn, and anybody who loves coming in on Thursdays, I have such a phenomenal following on LinkedIn. They'll be able to go back and listen to it, and perfect. I'll go in and apologize. So all is good. All right. So back to, I know you're a phenomenal human. Mm-hmm. So yay, I get to say that again. I'm very blessed to know you. And I know how important it is. One of your top values is impacting people, helping them, as it is with me too, right? I know you want to get your people to their finish line, right? Yes. So how did that happen? What happened, in the past? What story can you share that solidified this value of yours?
Well, there's a lot packed in this 56 years. But a few that, just really stick out, I'd love to share. So cue the harp music, because we're going to walk down memory lane together.
Okay, yay.
One story that I always reflect on, I was 12 years old, and I was getting a ride home from an after-school event with another parent who I knew a little, and her daughter who I knew well because she was my classmate. And it's funny how stories resonate in your mind, right? I can actually picture this big 70s sedan, the kind that like floated down the road, There's a baby blue pearl. I was in the back seat, and the mom was driving, and the daughter was in the front seat. And somehow the conversation went to beauty. And her mom said, you will only be as pretty as you think you are. And you will always only be as pretty as you think you are. And she turns to her daughter and she asks for confirmation. And the daughter, like just beaming, was like, yes, Mom. And it was clear both of them believed that. Now, neither of them were what you would probably portray as like within the realm of, these are the days of the Farrah Fawcett and the Bo Derek posters, right?
Yeah.
However, in that moment, I had the biggest aha moment, as big as you can for a 12-year-old, but I did, because I realized that they were both beautiful, and it was that confidence coming from within, right? So then fast forward 4 years, and I'm in high school, and I'm running a cross-country meet, and I was out in front from the beginning, and we're 3 miles in, and I can see the finish line, and I'm coming up on somebody who's not running. And he's clearly waiting for a runner that's behind me. Now, this is somebody that at one point I had a crush on, so it was a little more impactful. What happened next was he was behind me running with this gal, and he was cheering her on, and loud enough that I could hear it saying, she's fading. She's not going to make it. You're going to take her. She's fading. And I 100% bought into that stinking thinking. And the wind just went just went away. My legs were empty, everything. And it wasn't that way before it, right? So I have these two really powerful stories of like the gift of influence. And then also the second one has power of influence too, right? That wasn't really a gift. The first one definitely has power and gift as well. However, this is something that I've tried to like carry on in my life and share with other people, is be that first story, right? Be the person that gives a nugget to someone. And I have to tell you, I was raised by phenomenal parents. My mom, may she rest in peace, was strong and kind and very involved in my life. My father's still very involved in my life. And I kid you not, if I picked up the phone right now and called him and put him on speaker and said, hey, Dad, you know what? I'm tired of selling real estate. I want to be an astronaut. He would say, we could bet money on this. I think that's great, darling. Right? So I've had these great voices in my past. However, it's interesting to me how impactful someone else's voice sometimes is. And I think I just think that it's when you're ready to hear it, to really actually hear it, right? So I try to always put stuff out there, hoping that it'll be something someone needs to hear that they will have used to impact their life. Right. And so, you know, I'm a firm believer in, you know, it really starts with our thinking, right? So it's not woo-woo where I think, oh, you just think it into existence. You have to tactics and actions. My coach has taught me that. However, I don't think that if you have the thoughts right in the beginning, I don't know that you can get to success. Right. So that's really where trying to impact people's lives started for me. And I try to do it everywhere. And of course, I'm a leader at work. And so I have an opportunity to do it in my career. And I try to bring it forward in everything.
Right. So let's go back in time again. And you're at that meet, and that young gentleman is, you know, yelling to a girl behind you, she's fading, meaning you. Yeah. What would you do differently knowing who you are now?
Well, let's just get it on record. Thank God for unanswered prayers regarding
right. And I know what I would do, but what would you do
right now? Oh, game on. I would throw my cape over my shoulder and I would race to the finish line like no other. And that's, you know, again, I had really positive experiences before that to know that. However, I don't think I had the maturity necessarily at that time. I just really bought into it.
Yeah. Well, so if I were in your shoes at the time, well, first of all, I wasn't a runner in high school. I was a volleyball player and a ballerina. So I would have been a little bit different. However, he definitely would have gotten the bird as I ran by. For sure. Because I'm not as kind as you are. I mean, you know, I have a kind heart. I'm very compassionate, but it doesn't come close to yours. You would have probably smiled, maybe thought of giving him the bird. But I love that you said you would have put your cape on and said game on, because we have the experience now, and through coaching and reading and self-improvement and podcasts and all the things I know you do and I do. We know and have techniques to silence those external saboteurs. You know, I'll call him a saboteur, not what I really want to call him, but he was also a teenager, right? So he didn't know. Well, he didn't know just how damaging it was. Right. I'll give him that credit. Yeah. That he wasn't self-aware enough to know that he was an external saboteur kind of thing. So what else? What else?
Oh, goodness. Well, I think, you know, being in a leadership role with work has really been amazing for me, to realize that this is sort of my passion. There was a time in my past where I thought I possibly wanted to be a teacher. And then I gave birth to these 3 beautiful children, and I thought I couldn't possibly handle 40 of you. So let's not do that. And this is sort of being a leader at work is sort of fulfilling that. And it just really, again, it feeds right into being able to gift people with things. And it's not just about work. You know, I mean, we are all very whole people, right? So yes, I show up for work, but if I'm not showing up in a good space, I'm not going to be a productive agent, broker, owner. And so leader, yeah. So again, this, it really it fulfills me to be able to kind of help people come along wholly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've experienced, your phenomenal leadership qualities. You're a phenomenal business owner. So I know that your dad, right? I'm sure when you were whatever age said, "Hey, I want to be a business owner," your dad's like, "Right on, girl, you can do it." Who else? I don't know, either role modeled or encouraged you, family member or not, to be such a phenomenal business owner.
Yeah, thank you. So my mom was 100% behind me also. And it's interesting because there was a couple of very important people in my life at that time when I wanted to do this who were not behind me. Mm-hmm. And they were in a position to be a part of the decision making because they were part of the family. And I just remember thinking to myself, this is part of why we're not going to make it. This is part because you're holding back it's something that is just meant to be, and I've got to do this. And so I literally, without that person's support, had to get a little bit more aggressive. Thank goodness I had, my parents' support. I had some great friends who also really believed in me. They told me things that I didn't see in myself. And so again, back to these little nuggets that I try to share with people, they were the beginning of telling me things that I had said before to them that impacted them, right? And I didn't even really remember that kind of thing. So they were giving it back to me. And that made all the difference. And, kind of back to what I started to talk about with that, person that was in a role to support me that wasn't, it actually made me have to sort of, the analogy would be jump off the building to start the business, right? Actually just quit my corporate job and make this work. And it was a little bit back to probably rubbing that guy in the ground that, was following me on that race so many years ago, like, oh no, I can do this. Right. And so, that part of me really, really grew at that time because there were some important people who should have supported me that didn't. It was my time to say, no, that's not how it's going to go anymore. I'm no longer going to listen to that stinking thinking.
Right. Yeah. Well, quitting a corporate job and starting your own business is scary shit. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. So I always use my Wonder Woman inner leader, wise sage. It's all about Wonder Woman and other women in my life too. I mean, my grandmother was a phenomenal role model. My grandfather was a phenomenal role model. His first job was painting the Golden Gate Bridge. Wow. And the higher you went, the more you got paid. So he just went right to the top and then started his own business after that. So where do you find that? I mean, again, I know you're probably going to say your dad, which is great. But there's more than just your dad, because I know you. Like, who's your guiding light, North Star, Wonder Woman type person?
It's definitely, well, I have two, right? So there's sort of the fictitious one that you and I have created together. But the real life person was my mom, right? Yeah. And the interesting thing about that, it wasn't what she told me. And it wasn't what she taught me. It was when I got old enough and mature enough to watch what she was doing and what she had been through and how she wore her scars, just empowered me incredibly. Yeah. And, to put it into like the exact time frame and words, literally at the very end of her life, a priest came over to our house and was giving her last rites. And he's the one that framed the word. He said, her name is Jenny. Jenny, I've been talking to all of the people around you. And what I learned is that you were an incredibly courageous soul. And I just had this major aha moment, another one. This one I was actually old enough to have. And right. And I thought that's what I want. I want to be a courageous soul, and so I decided, I actually took it on as being a courageous spirit. Um, but yeah, just watching what this woman had been through, and you would have never known it.
Right.
And it wasn't because she was a martyr, or she just went through it, and she just kept on going. And so I know that I have that inside of me. And so that's been really, really something to follow.
Yeah. And what a blessing for her to have given you that.
Oh, yes.
And I'm going to encourage you or challenge you not to ever forget that, so whatever you need to remember that, yes, that courageous soul spirit is inside of you, no matter what you're going through.
I 100% agree. I mean, it's, anyone who's been through watching somebody die, and especially a loved one, I think it's hard to not be changed by it. And thankfully, I was changed in a very positive way.
Yeah. And as we get older, we have the opportunity to see that, right? Right. So now that at my age, I've seen my stepfather pass away. I was there in the hospital when he did. Same with my grandmother, and it's life-changing.
It really is. And that's another really important thing when you add all of these things together, right? Being impacted by people and what they say and how they act, and trying to reach out and impact people, and then watching someone's life come to an end and realizing how important every day really is. And it sounds so cliche to say that, right? But when you do, and then realize that, why am I listening to people's opinions that don't matter to me? Why am I buying into false narratives? Right. Why on all of that stuff, right? Yeah. So there's no room for that in my life.
No. And so one of the things I ask some of my more mature clients, because this doesn't work so much on a 30-year-old. They don't quite get it yet. And so it's not a negative. It's not. It's just life experiences, right? So one of the questions I will ask often is, for a client to get centered, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and what does your 108-year-old self want you to know right now?
Yeah, that, I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
Just getting started. Don't stop. You've got this. And there's a lot of days where I'm tired, right? I'm sure. And I don't mean just physically tired, like I'm drained. Everything is good. And I want to say I'm too tired for all of this. And what I need, and you know this about me because you coach me, is I need to rest, right? I need to rest my mind. I need to rest my body. I need to rest my helping soul, because I'm always out there trying to, help people, which I love. And there's no complaints on that, but it is taxing at times. Yeah.
It is. It's exhausting. And so you've gotten so good. None of us are perfect. However, you really have gotten really good at realizing, I'm going to hit the wall.
Yeah.
Right. And I need to stop, or I need to go be grandma. Because and that's something else we share, right? Yeah. Is there's nothing like it till you experience it.
Nope. There's my recharge. Yep. 10 kisses on those cheeks and I'm good. I'm starting to get, the older one's starting to bat me away,
So funny story is I'm out visiting my mom, and I have a 14, 15-year-old nephew. And so the two of us went and picked him up. He was swimming. So we went and we picked him up, and then we dropped him off where he could go hang out with his friends. And my mom got out of the car to help him with his stuff. And my mom said, "Is it okay if I give you a kiss?" Because, 15-year-old boy, he's like, "Sure." And my mom just gleamed,
Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah, that's so funny. Hey, everybody here, we really appreciate you being here. If you have any questions for Karyn, shout them out. Please, I'll keep an eye on the chat. So if you want to know anything, Karyn is a phenomenal businesswoman, and human, and grandmother and mother. So shout out any questions that you might have. We have time. I'm looking at the time. There we go. We have time. We have about 5 minutes, so we have time for any questions. So we talk about stories and chapters and how we are in control of our next chapters, right?
Yes.
So I know that you're currently writing a pretty phenomenal chapter. So maybe that's where you want to stay right now versus, hey, what's your next chapter? However, maybe you do want to be an astronaut in your next chapter. So talk about either your current chapter or a chapter that you want us to hear about.
Yeah, so my current chapter and the next chapter probably don't really have a start and a finish. They kind of blur together.
Yeah.
So, my current chapter is really growing my brokerage. I have 4 offices across 2 states, and I love it. And I really want to move into the role of training and coaching my agents, and helping agents find that they can be successful in their career and have great life balance.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really passionate about that. And so along with that comes more life balance for me, right? When I am successful with that and it's on the horizon, super excited about it, then I will be able to step away from production a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to provide me a little bit more life balance as well.
Yeah.
So,
and I love how you're calling it life balance.
Thank you.
Right? Yay.
I am trainable,
Yes, you are. Because I was like, I don't personally like work-life balance because work is important. It's what gives us security, right? It's going to give me my retirement. I hope it will, right? It will. And I don't want it to be first life balance or work balance, but work-life balance, whoever coined that wasn't really thinking it through, in my opinion. So thank you for life balance.
Yeah, you're welcome. And, I've learned that it can come along a lot faster than I gave it credit for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's true with a lot of things, right? Sometimes we're so busy working on something, we're head down and just working. We don't look up and see what's going on around us and how we can change things. Yep. And that's really what I want to try and share with people. There's a lot of younger agents in our group call, right? A lot of moms with multiple kids. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I would love to have some time with you to help you see how you can do it different than how I did it. And not because I'm, righteously know it all now at all, but just that I don't want moms to miss out on things they don't have to miss out on.
Right. Yes. And I do have clients that do worry about that. Like that is, I don't know if you were on the call, where one of my said one of her biggest fears is not being a good mom as she grows her business. Yeah. So, as you know, and a lot of people know, tomorrow we have everybody I coach, we have a mastermind. So there are going to be a lot of young moms who are growing their own businesses. So please feel free to share your knowledge to them, because same with me, when I was full-time realtor, I had 2 young teenagers and I was a single mom and I did it. We did it. Was it easy? No. Was there a lot of bumps and bruises? Yes. And through me having a coach through it, I figured out the life balance through it all. Yeah.
And I do think that that's key, right? I think having that coach to talk to and bounce things off of is just so important, because otherwise we're really subject to just what's going on between our ears for advice.
It can be so dangerous. Yeah. Well, I remember when I was going there. Yeah, I remember going through my divorce, having a coach, having 2 kids, starting my own real estate company, and sitting on the couch. Mm. And she like, Tanya, put your big girl panties on and get off the couch. And she said it much firmer than that, but that's literally what she said. How much longer are you going to sit on the couch? Get off your ass and get to work, right? And I did. It just, I was going through some depression and sadness and feeling like a failure, and oh my goodness, and that's the stuff in here that she helped me get out of and wash it away.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, she's my hero.
We all need that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes, even if we have a friend or a colleague to talk to, sometimes that's good. However, I think it's not enough in almost all cases, right? It's good to have a friend to just sort of get stuff off your chest. It's good to have a colleague to bounce things off of. You really need someone who's going to give you back what you need.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just so important.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Friends are awesome. And they're the ones that are going to put their arm around you and say it's okay and be there for you. But they're not the ones that, for me anyway, was like, Tanya, get off the friggin' couch and get to work. I was like, it's okay. I know you're sad. It's okay. It'll feel better. And I needed that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always think about, because I walk with friends on a regular basis. We used to run, and we're getting back to that, but that's another story. It's like the tea kettle, right? So out on the trail, we steam, right? It's either coming out our eyes or it's coming out of our mouth because we're just venting stuff. But what we do is we boil the water down to just the important part. And then I can bring that to you. If it's a business situation, I can bring it, to a friend. If I need to address something there, I can bring it home. If there's something there I need to address, as opposed to having to do all of that other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And very, very true. Hey, Wendy. Thank you. I don't know, Wendy, if it's streaming to LinkedIn. I have a huge error message where it comes to my LinkedIn. So I'm thinking it's not. So glad you logged in on Facebook. Wendy's amazing. She was a guest here, and she does some great taming tension activities. So anybody here needing some great ways to release stress, I listen to her almost every morning. She goes live every morning, and I kind of go through the taming tension activities. So doing a shout out for Wendy too. Okay, before, I know we're kind of at our half hour. So as much as you and I and so many of us here on the call are aware of those voices, we still have them. They still come. Some days we have really lousy days. And what do you do to switch that radio station to a positive station? What do you do? What's your routine?
It actually is a radio station. It's
good.
80s hair band music, just as loud as I can just get out of my head.
Yeah.
Because it is, it is just what's going on between the ears. And so that allows me to quit thinking about it. And I love to sing to the music. So I'm singing, and there's no singing going on or no thinking going on while I'm singing. So
yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And Rachel, I agree with you 100%. She says, Karyn, you are an amazing spirit. You are.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah. All right. So we are going to log off. Glad everybody got on, regardless of our glitches. We do have glitches. I'm learning the Restream app that we use. It's getting easier. And then all of a sudden, something like today happens, and I get all these error messages that just as Karyn and I are going live. So life happens.
It does. We did good.
Yeah. So thank you for everybody for coming on. Thank you, Karyn. Any other quick questions? I'm going to sit here for just 2 seconds before I play the outro. But if anybody has any quick questions, go for it. I'm counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Let's see. Here we go.